Hello, welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2013. You're watching Stage 2 with me, Danny O'Dwyer, and we've got a pretty good game coming up right here. We hope a pretty good game. Only seen little dabbles of it. Josh Bridge from Capcom Vancouver.
That's correct,
Thank you very much for joining us today. You're going to show us, well, we're going to talk about Dead Rising 3.
That's right.
And have a look at what you guys showed at the press conference a couple of days ago.
Thanks for having us.
Not at all. So first of all, tell us, Dead Rising 3, obviously you guys are taking it in it seems to be taking it in a slightly different direction to Dead Rising 2. Just set up, what are we talking? What protagonist, what city, what's happening?
Yeah, this takes place 10 years after Dead Rising 2. Ending S for all the hardcore fans. It takes place in a fictional city called Los Perdidos, California. We did that because we wanted to have fun with this city and sort of really pack it with the density that the brand's known for. We pick up the story, it's been 3 days post a zombie outbreak and the whole city's just locked down and quarantined by the military. And you play as this mechanic, used to be his day job, his new day job surviving, and his name is Nick Ramos.
So the demo we saw, in terms of how it looked and how it played, seems to be maybe a bit more somber, a bit more, dare I say the word, realistic. Some fans have been very vocal about maybe this is taking in a direction that they're not comfortable with. What do you think about those claims?
Actually, it was intentional. We went for something that we wanted to sort of buy into, that this was all about the zombies, right? It's zombies first and comedy second. And we created this look that just, is a lot more realistic, a lot more gritty and whatnot. But it was intentional, actually, because you can imagine we have a game that isn't even aware that it's funny, right? So all that comedy is in there, right? You can still create crazy combo weapons, dress how you want, and all that appears in the cinematics. And the idea was, we can create a stronger contrast now, more of a juxtaposition, right?
Okay.
Where the game's not aware and you're almost photobombing the game now. Which I hope that actually is funny for you, as opposed to us saying, oh, this is funny, right? And being really funny up front, and then, yeah, I don't find it funny, and then when I do something funny, it doesn't really get any funnier, so we want to make sure there was really high contrast.
So this isn't an intentional play maybe to try and coerce some more mainstream fans over to the franchise?
Well, no, I mean, the whole point of all this is actually to still keep evolving the brand and how it has dark humor in it, as opposed to just being slapstick. Upfront slapstick, the problem we were finding as we were coming off Dead Rising 2 and sort of really talking about where we want to go with Dead Rising 3 was zombies really weren't a threat, right? You weren't getting in that mood that these guys you need to be, afraid of. We're pushing the numbers of zombies more so than ever. We've invested in, them being more aggressive and more deadly, so we want to make sure that was the tone. It was horror first and then comedy second, and the comedy's up to you to evoke in the game.
Cool. Let's talk about some of the mechanical differences you guys have talked about as well. Some of the sort of iconic Dead Rising tropes, like the PP system, the fact that there's always a timer ticking in the back, and even though there's 4 things you kind of need to finish, you can only really do one, and so some of that stuff has been taken away, some of it is optional.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the time mechanic a lot, and even as developers, we're all core gamers at Capcom Vancouver. We're like, it was really divisive, about time, and we know that it's really core to the brand. So what we did is actually we created 2 modes. We have like a mainline story mode, and that's the mode that you can just take your time and be a completionist, really explore the world, and there's a whole bunch of new and extra side content that you can kind of go in there and really get in there and level up your character. But we also have a mode called Nightmare Mode, and that takes it right back down to Dead Rising 1 rules, I'd say, if not a bit tougher. Time is going to be urging you along, you have to stay on schedule and stay on track, and in that mode you can only save in washrooms. Right, so it really takes it back to classic mode, and you can.
So can you save presumably anywhere or in
the mainline mode, both sharing the same story, and we still have multiple endings and all the hallmarks of Dead Rising. The mainline story mode just does saving automatically for you, right? You can, it all saves to 1 player profile, so you can like hop between the modes, right? You can kind of go into Nightmare and like, oh my god, this is too hard. I'm gonna go in here, and you can go back and forth if you want. I actually challenge fans because I know we've been playing in the office like. Start with a new profile and try to hit Nightmare and try to get through because we have an awesome unlock at the end. But you know what? It's like, I really love the leveling system now. We went further with leveling. It used to be automatic leveling.
Yeah.
We want to customize our character. A big part of the game is creative expression. Play how you want. So you can earn all these experience points. Our experience points are called PP, prestige points. And you can set them all up onto different attributes and really go over the top. And if you can max out your level and really go all the way to level 50 across these attributes, you can just basically make the game almost completely absurd, right, and really go over the top. And I hope that veneer that we have of that darker tone. I hope that evokes something hilarious for you that you discovered, and I hope you guys share vids of that.
Cool. Let's talk a bit about the graphics in it. It looks obviously a little bit more starker. We were looking at a kind of a sunset view in the footage. In fact, if we can bring that up, that'd be awesome. High contrast. What was the feeling behind that? It kind of even has a look of perhaps The Walking Dead, if you want to be reductive in that way.
We wanted to take it back to sort of like a classic zombie sort of feel. Even Dead Rising 1 had a lot darker look to it, and when we took the helm and developed Dead Rising 2, we started taking it in a really bright and colorful, fun way. And and that really worked for Dead Rising 2 in that setting in Fortune City, right? Just sort of this Las Vegas-inspired world. But this time we're going to the city of Los Perdidos, and we're post-outbreak, so we want to really get that feeling across that it was just freshly, just gone into, hell in a handbasket. So we still have a lot of variety in the world, and what we showed on stage was just like one of our 4 major districts. This is a bit more of a rundown area, a lot more dilapidated, even prior to the outbreak. But we have a whole collection of all the kaleidoscope of all these sort of takes on SoCal, like LA-inspired world, right? So you have like a Beverly Hills sort of inspired area, a Venice Beach boardwalk, and that contrast is awesome. You still have those stores selling like kids' toys with like, it's fun music, and then right outside is horror. So
is the campaign, is it as open as it was? Is there a degree of linearity this time around?
Yeah, I mean, another hallmark of the brand is actually exploring the world, right? Even though you have a linear main storyline that you can kind of push through, you can just kind of go off the beaten path as always and just go off and explore all this optional content, explore the world. And we've packed this world with the same density that the brand's been known for, but now it's way larger, right? And you can drive through it and go into all these little stores still and climb up. We have a lot more climbing going on now, and it's really, really rich with all these little things you can pick up. Some completely useless, a pile of plates still, right? Some stuff that's more deadly.
We're looking at a city here. In the previous 2 games, they were very much sort of enclosed areas in terms of casino or shopping mall. In terms of vehicles, then, is there much more diversity and scale?
Yeah, I mean, we looked at vehicles as weapons. For Dead Rising, anything and everything's a weapon still, and more so. We have hundreds and hundreds of them. So we have to look at vehicles in the same manner, right? It's not just a get out of jail free card. It's not just hop in a car and the game's over and the credits roll. The different vehicles, some better suited for other situations. We have a lot of physics play going on, like the actual torque of the car will get slowed by the bodies of the zombies you're trying to push against, right?
Okay.
So you actually have to find better vehicles if you want to do that. We have a whole kaleidoscope too. We have sedans, of course, trucks, SUVs, motorbikes.
Anything in terms of air vehicles or military vehicles?
No flying, I can tell you that. No, you just leave.
Yeah, of course.
Game's over.
Yeah, good point. You would just leave. So what we're looking at here, so a lot of people have been talking, a lot of people are very happy that this series is back. It was one that a lot of rumor and speculation that was going to be mentioned during the conferences.
Yeah.
Then there's also been people who've been saying perhaps this looks a bit less like the Dead Rising I know and love. Maybe perhaps that it's another attempt at westernizing a game that was incredibly quirky in its own way.
Yeah.
And I guess the last time Capcom did that was with Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 6 didn't turn out too great. What would you say to people who are maybe a little bit worried that this might be going in the same direction, just from seeing what they've seen here?
Well, I mean, what we're showing here is all the gameplay that everyone knows about the series has just gone further, right? More zombies than ever before. A lot more dynamic, like those guys catching on fire. That just so happens because the zombie was just walking by a fire and caught on fire. All the weapon customization, all of it is still there and going bigger than ever. The attempt to make it look more gritty has nothing to do with like we're westernizing it. It's purely all getting back to, we want to actually tell the funniest jokes for you to find, right? So we want to make sure there's still that contrast that you can, if you evoke a ridiculous outfit, like, let's say a banana hammock, or I like to call it the canary smuggler. We have one in the office. You throw one of those on and you're running around this world, right? You can just imagine it just looks even more absurd than ever.
Right here as well, we see the sledge saw being created. Obviously he's able to create them now on the fly.
Yeah.
What other, is the combinations of weapons in ridiculous ways, is that still a prime focus in Dead Rising 3?
Yeah, I mean, creating combat weapons we invested even more in that because we just look at it as a way you want to customize how you play, right? It's a sandbox, it's a toy. We all kind of like are like little kids, and we just want to have a whole bunch of different options to play and sort of imagine your own scenarios. So we've gone further with combo weapons, outside of obviously, combining them anywhere. You can have all these different combinations, and you can start leveling up your character, and you're not even limited. Eventually, you're not even limited to just specific ingredients. You can start widening the pool and actually start creating, almost any type of combo mix and match without having to rely on that blueprint alone. So basically, the deeper you play in the game, the further you go along, the more and more ridiculous it gets.
Well, we're seeing here some new elements, obviously, because we're now in a city. It kind of changes the roadmap quite a bit. Interacting there with the car, can the zombies pull you out of the car in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, they actually really, you can see them, they attack and they hang off and they try to choke you. Actually, one of the things we're finding was really awesome, with the amount of fidelity we can push now being on Xbox One, is just like, all those zombies actually affect the steering when you hit them, and when they hang off the car, they affect your ability to, drive. You have to like scrape them off or try to swerve and get them off. So that's why we want to make sure it was like a feeling of a weapon, right? That you just weren't safe in there. You still had to fight, essentially, right? Power slide through them, do donuts.
Is there any talk about co-op or multiplayer in Dead Rising 3?
Yeah, we still have co-op. It's a big part of the experience for us. I love sharing in it. We have 2 players, hop in, hop out online. You play as a unique character this time around, and also we evolved it further that even if you're a client, doesn't matter if you're client or host, both of you get story safe progress as you go along. So I want to make sure you just weren't a PP farmer, right? You can actually just hop in and actually get value.
PP farming, very good.
I like PP farming. Going to throw the coveralls on, rake a bit.
We saw just at the end there as well in the demo, there was a situation where a colleague was using a Microsoft Surface and called in the airstrike. Is there any of that functionality that's available on the Surface that won't be available in game?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of exclusive features just for Smart Class. It's funny, when we showed an everyday mechanic calling it an airstrike, even that juxtaposition is ridiculous. There's a story behind it. There's actually a voice coming out of that thing. It's a unique character. He's caught up in another part of the world, locked down. He doesn't even know what he's doing, looking at some military control panel, and he's helping you, and you're working together. If you don't have it connected, you can totally play the whole game, you can get the whole story, but if you actually have it connected, you'll actually hear the voice coming out of the device, and I totally kid out. I love hearing the voice and seeing some missions, and you get unique missions. Complete those missions, and it makes your phone look like this weird military sort of app device, and then you can start calling in like things like an airstrike, and you're just sort of diverting it over to you. There's a whole bunch of other stuff we were showing today, like drone strikes coming by and just lighting it up. And I love it, actually, just like throwing it next to me. You have it on speakerphone, right? And you can hear the voice coming out. And you get all these little unique little gameplay experiences just right there.
Awesome. Obviously, this game is coming out on Xbox One.
That's right.
It's a massive game for Microsoft to have an exclusive deal for again.
Yeah, we're really, really happy to be back with Microsoft and doing this day one launch and exclusive to Xbox One.
Dead Rising, I always felt, was one of those games that had an initial fever to it, like in terms of people wanting to play it. Yeah. And then sort of word of mouth caught around, and people kind of gave copies of them to their buddies and stuff. Obviously, you guys are launching on Xbox One, so that's not possible. People being able to share with their friends. Do you think that would in any way inhibit people getting into the Dead Rising experience?
I hope not. I hope everything we're showing is getting folks really excited. We're super stoked what we've been able to show here today. The reaction from everyone has just been huge. It's been great to share it with the team back home. It's just like massive. I just can't believe how excited folks are.
Awesome. So obviously we've just seen a little teaser of Dead Rising 3. Fans are chomping at the bit, no pun intended, to see more about the game. So whenabouts are we going to see more about more of Dead Rising 3?
Pretty soon. We're going to be showing more and more, and we're showing a lot more than we showed on stage already here at E3.
Awesome. Josh, thank you very much for coming along and showing that game. We're really looking forward to playing it.
Totally appreciate it. Thanks.
We got loads more stuff coming up here on GameSpot's Stage 2 right here at E3, and I believe next coming up is an exclusive first look at Fable Anniversary, so stick around.